Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Styles by Franca. As you can see guys, we are going to make this beautiful outfit with an elegant sleeve. So without further ado, let's go straight into this tutorial. So guys, I'm folding my fabric into 4. So I'm cutting the downside separately and I'm cutting my upper side separately. So guys, I'm folding my fabric into 4. So we are cutting the downside, which will look as if it is a skirt. So I'm cutting the downside. So I'm checking if my fabric is enough. So here is me placing my tape rule. So the half length of this person's measurement is 16 inches. So my gown length is 40 inches. Plus, so I'm going to add like 3 to 5 inches downward. So here is me chalking out my hip line. So at the hip line, the hip is 45 inches plus 6 divided by 4. So I mark it out. So here I'm marking out my waist line. So my waist is 36. 36 plus 6 divided by 4, which is 10.5. So I'm using 11 inches. Then I'm connecting my lines. So our hip is 12.75. So the downside of the gown is going to be 11.75. I'm going to reduce just 1 inch out of it. So here is me cutting it out. As you can see, I chalked my measurement at the other side because the other side is meant for the zip allowance. So here is me cutting it out. As you can see, the shape is coming out already. So I'm cutting out the down part. So I cut the front and the back together. So I'm done. So that's the front and that's also the back. So we're going to move to the upper side. We divided the gown into 2. So I'm cutting the upper side. So I'm checking if my fabric will be enough. So here is me folding my fabric into 2. So I'm cutting the back side. So guys, we're going to cut the upper side. So here is me placing my tape rule to check if the folded fabric will be enough. So here is me just chalking out my half length, then adding 1 inch seam allowance. So here is me just chalking out my zip allowance. I hope you can see it guys. So if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell to get notified anytime I upload a new video. So here is me. I measured my back, then chalked my armhole line, then I connect it together. So I thought you guys are not going to understand how I did it that way. So here is me again chalking my zip allowance. So measuring my back, then adding ½ inches allowance, then chalking out the armhole, then placing the bust and the waist measurement, and then here's me just zooming it in for you guys to see it very well. So I'm going to cut it out. So guys, I'm done cutting it out. So for my neckline, I'm going to use 3.5 for the breadth, and for the length I'm going to use 8 inches. Okay, then it's going to be a V neck from the 3.5 at the breadth, and the length is going to be 8 inches. So there is me just cutting it out after marking it. My joke and me cutting my back into 2. Then the next thing for me to do is to cut my bustier. Guys, please look at this video very well for you to understand what I'm doing here. So guys, I'm placing my back on my fabric, so the front will be bigger than the back by maybe 2 inches. You can use 2 inches. So my front is bigger than the back, so I'm placing my back on the new fabric that I just folded, and here is me just cutting out the shape of the side, the armhole, the bust side, and the waist side. So guys, I'm going to chalk out my neckline. So my neckline is going to be 6 inches. So I'm just trimming the excess fabric here. So guys, yeah, I'm going to chalk out my neckline, which is 6 inches. That's why I was zooming this so you guys can see it very well. So my neckline is 6, then our under bust is 13.5. So you are going to divide 13.5 between 6 and 13. You are going to get the midpoint of 6 and 13.5, so which is 9.5. I hope you get that. So I'm just going to chalk it out. Then at my 6 inches neckline, I'm just going to mark 3 inches, then just roll it on a straight line. So I'm going to place my tape rule on the bust point. So I'm just going to measure 3.5. So at the under bust, I measured 2.5, and at the half length, I measured 3.5. So here is it, guys. You can see how the bust shape is already out, as in the bust shape is shaping already. You get. So I cut it out. So I'm just going to place it directly on the other side and just trim it out. You can see how I placed it, and I'm going to cut it out. So guys, I'm done cutting it. You can see our bustier is ready, a freehand bustier method. So here's how it looks when you open it. So guys, for the sleeve, I'm just folding my fabric into 2. As you can see, the front side facing each other, then the other part. So I'm going to cut out my sleeve now. So I'm going to place the 2 sleeves together. So I'm going to measure the length. So because the sleeve it's a little bit slanted, so from the other edge I came down 3.5, so I just placed my ruler and just cut it out, guys. As in, it is a slant sleeve at the upper side. Now the downside, just trying to measure, and I want it to be a medium sleeve. I don't want it to be too long or too wide. So here is me just measuring out the length I want and the breadth. So here is me just placing my ruler on top of it and just ruling it out. I'm trying to curve it. I don't want it to be sharp. I don't want it to be sharp, so I'm just cutting it out. I want it to be a little bit round. So this is two. One is serving as the main, so the other will serve as the lining. I'm just cutting it out. So here is me just cutting out the lining as well with the same fabric. So guys, this is what they called wording. Is an interface, so we are going to use it to pad our bustier. So I'm just going to place my bustier on it and cut it out. So this interface has two sides, the gummy side and the normal side. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm just placing my bustier on the interface and I'm cutting it from the on. I'm placing my fabric from the under bust to where the 6 inches stopped. So that's what we are cutting. So I'm going to cut out 2. So I'm going to shape my interface. I don't want it to be like that, so I'm going to shape it a little bit. Just look at what I'm doing and you get it. It is really simple, so if you follow it step by step, you'll be able to achieve the same thing I did. So yeah, I've cut our interface, so I'm going to cut also my lining for my fabric. So I'm using a black lining, so I'm just going to skip the part where I'm cutting my lining. So yeah guys, I'm done cutting. So my bust here, I used the fabric for the lining. So here is the skirt part. So I'm folding in 6 inches from the downside, so I cut my lining to stop at that side and my 6 inches will be up. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So I did the same for the front and the back of the downside. So here is me guys, placing my lining on the fabric at the downside. So I'm just going to sew it, stitch it down. The right side facing each other. Just turning my. Then I'm going to measure 6 inches from where I stitch and just fold it in and sew it all the way up. So I'm going to do the same thing for the back. You know, the back is 2, so I'm just going to do the same thing for the back and the front, the downside. So guys, here is me sewing my bustier and placing the gummy side to the back of the fabric, and me just stitching this down, stitching it down firmly. So here is me just cutting out the excess fabric, the excess wording. So here it is. So I'm going to place the side, the right side facing the right side. So just stitching it down, putting my wording at the under bust and just to the all the way up, and just round my hand, and here it is. So I'm done. So I'm going to do the same thing to the other side as well. So I'm going to sew it exactly the way I sewed the first side. So here's me just stitching it down, and voila, we are done. So yeah, I'm done. So this is how my bustier looks. You can see we have not even ironed it and it's looking good and great. So I'm going to iron it down. So I'm also going to sew the lining as well, the same way I sewed the main fabric. So guys, I'm done ironing my bustier, so I'm going to add my lining. I'm just going to sew the side, just hold it down with my lining. So guys, I'm done with the downside. I've ironed it, so I want to take my measurement. So I've sewn the zip allowance at the downside. So here is me just stitching it down, the front and the back together. So guys, here is the back of the upper side. Here is me just taking my dart and trimming all the edges. So I'm going to join the front and the back together. So here is me just stitching down the bust area. So I'm just matching it down. After ironing it, I'm just sewing it down. Just look at what I'm doing and you will understand. So I'm just sewing it very close to the line, just for me to hold my bustier down very well. You can see how firm it is, so it will prevent it from just moving around. So here's me just cutting the neckline, V-line, and just turning it with the lining. 'cause nobody's perfect, darling. But no, there's nobody in the world like you. So guys, here is me just joining my shoulder of the front and the back together, and I'm going to join it to the downside of the gown. So here's me just joining the shoulder. Please, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to my channel. Give my video a thumbs up. It will really mean a lot to me. So here is me just joining the shoulder, and I'm going to join to the downside of my fabric. I'm going to join to the downside. So here is me just taking the shape of the upper side. So I'm going to join to the downside. So here is my sleeve. I've added my add interfacing to this sleeve for both the main fabric and also the line. We are using the fabric as the lining as well, so we have 4 pieces here. So I'm just going to place them right side facing each other and just sew it all the way round. Round. We are almost done with this beautiful dress, so I'm just going to sew it all the way round. So guys, I'm done with the sleeve. I added a regular boning inside the sleeve. So here is me guys just placing the sleeve on the main bodies at the front. I've pinned it down, so I just want to use my sewing machine to hold it down so it will be firm. So guys, here's me just struggling to place the sleeve perfectly to the main bodies, and meanwhile I added a small sleeve to the armhole. So here's me just placing it. So guys, if you find my video very helpful, please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell to get to know when I post a new video. Please like and comment. So here's the finished look. See you guys in my next class. Bye bye.